All right. Hi, I'm Sophie Peel. I'm a reporter with Willamette Week. Today, I am joined by Representative Campos, who is a Democrat out of Aloha. And today, we're talking about the Right to Rest Act, which I believe you sponsored. He brought the bill in, and it's getting a hearing next week. And I would love to ask you a few questions about that bill, why you think it's important, why you are sponsoring it. I know a few of your other legislators are sponsoring it as well. So if you could just start by sort of giving me the meat and potatoes of what this bill is and what it could mean for Oregonians.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much for reaching out, Sophie. I was, I am proud to have introduced House Bill 2367 this session. What it seeks to do is to essentially protect the rights of folks who are experiencing houselessness, who are out on the streets and are more often than not criminalized for the act of trying to survive, to live. In circumstances that often are out of folks' control. It would seek to protect the rights of folks who are experiencing houselessness to move freely, to rest and sleep in public spaces as need be, to ensure that those who are experiencing houselessness would be able to connect with the appropriate services and outreach without harassment, to be able to occupy a legally parked vehicle, to essentially protect themselves from the elements, not essentially, but to also protect themselves from the elements in a way that doesn't obstruct public access, and to protect their right to share food and eat in public and uh,
So,
pray if they
so
so choose to.
yeah. So if this were to be passed, would this effectively stop sweeps from happening?
This would seek to do that, yes. We that would be a form of harassing folks, of disturbing them, of not letting them have those rights to live without that harassment.
Hmm. Who are the
And we know,
primary naysayers of this bill?
I'm sorry, what was
Have
that?
who are the primary naysayers of this bill, and are there any that have sort of come out of the woodworks that are surprising? And also, what's kind of the meat of their opposition to this?
So we have heard a lot more from supporters than we have from those who are opposed, but we do anticipate that there will be some testimony in opposition from the League of Cities. I haven't looked at the testimony list in a little bit, but I have heard through the grapevine that there's at least one chamber of commerce within the Portland metro area that isn't necessarily thrilled about the bill, but we have heard a lot of excitement, a lot of support. We've got folks like the Oregon Law no, not the Oregon Law Center, my apologies, from the ACLU of Oregon, from the National Council on Homelessness, um, a whole list of folks that are not coming to mind right now. Street Roots,
Right, right.
AFSME.
So do you have you fleshed out any other ideas about how to kind of keep these camps managed in any way? Like, are there any ideas about that within this bill, or is this bill primarily to just stop the sweeps and then go from there? Do you think it's mostly structural change, or do you think there are other ways, for houselessness to be managed?
This bill is primarily to advocate for the rights of those who are experiencing houselessness. There are a number of other bills. There was one that was passed out of the Housing Committee today that actually seeks to increase the notification time for folks to retrieve, for when sweeps are going to happen, when they can retrieve their belongings. But we need to be having conversations not about how to give people proper notification. While it's an important bill in these times, we need to be in a space where we're not talking about taking people's belongings, that can be the difference for life and death for so many folks, especially on a winter's night when someone loses their sleeping bag or their tent, and are exposed to the elements because they have nowhere else to go.
Right. So I'm sure people who oppose this bill, one of their primary concerns is that if we, if we stop sweeps entirely and if these camps aren't managed at all, that they're just going to keep proliferating. How do you respond to those people?
While we are not investing in services, whether we like it or not, folks are going to be out on the streets. And so this seeks to make sure that, because it is happening, this bill does not, allow people to urinate and defecate publicly. It doesn't grant folks who are experiencing houselessness any special rights. It doesn't, seek to let mayhem run loose. It just seeks to make sure that we are treating folks with dignity. So it, to a certain extent, we know that people care more about issues when they see it right in front of them. And so, maybe this is one of those things that brings this more to the attention of folks of like, hey, we do need to be investing in services and making sure that we are keeping people off of the streets.
I mean, I think what I hear more than anything is it seems like this visibility is like they just, homeowners primarily, seeing it doesn't make them want to help necessarily. It makes them want it to go away, right? Like them being privy to the problem, their idea primarily is to like, well, let's just get them away from here. Let's get them away from my vision. Do you think
Right.
that
And to
helps
that,
grow is that visibility creates kind of a stronger desire to fix?
I think, that's certainly in the eye of the beholder. Um, but, that doesn't fix the problem, right? Knowing that we're just moving people from place to place, that doesn't do anything. But if we are able to, make sure that somebody has somewhere that they're going to return that night to be able to their belongings, if they know that they can leave to go look for a job or to go access the mental health services they need without fear that their belongings are going to be taken, can make a huge difference for somebody being able to eventually access housing.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to decrease barriers, not increase barriers, and just make the problem go away out of our own eyesight,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't go away.
What do you think are the chances that this bill will continue to move forward?
It is an uphill battle. We are
Is that sugarcoating it? Maybe a little.
maybe a little, and we recognize that there are challenges, but one of the things that I think is really important about this bill is that we are centering the voices of those who are experiencing houselessness in this. I sit as the vice chair of the housing committee. I have also watched a couple of hearings that have not been in the housing committee, but have addressed the issue of houselessness. And one of the really interesting things is that you don't really hear the voices of those who are directly impacted by this issue. I've heard, I think, one person who identified themselves as someone experiencing homelessness. That's a problem. We need to be hearing from those that are impacted by this policy. House Bill 2367 is a bill that was put together. I introduced it, but it was put together by advocates of those who are experiencing houselessness, of those directly experiencing this. And so that makes this bill unique in this legislative session.